Yeah, feeling. That's good.
No, nie sama gdzie. Ja, also ganz genau kenne ich mich da jetzt auch nicht aus, aber wurde mir damals gesagt, dass egal was ich mache, früher ausstechen und früher gehen. Also auf keinen Fall irgendwie länger.
Okay. Ja, wurde mir nicht gesagt.
Doing it the professional way. Parmigiano, the most important ingredient in pasta. How's the pasta? Okay, looks good. Langsam, ja. Ich weiß.
In the first hand, I open raised Ace, King, Queen, 7 single suited from under the gun up to 15, and we got 4 callers. The flop is King 3 deuce with the nut flush draw for me, so that's pretty good. It checked to me, and I decided to bet 25. Only the 2 players out of position called. So off to a turn, which is a beautiful looking 7. So I have now top 2 with my nut flush draw, which is a pretty strong hand. So after both checked to me, I decided to bet 100. And yeah, now only 1 player called. On the river, we see another 7, which, yeah, brings me the nuts because I don't think he will ever play pocket kings that way. I just bet 325 and he pretty quickly folded his hand. In the next hand, we look down at Ace, Jack, 9-6 trip suit in the small blind, and it's an open raise up to 10, and I decided to call the 10. Big blind, raise it up to 45 to place call, and I call as well. So off to a flop, which is King, Jack, 9 rainbow, and yes, it's dangerous, so I check and checked around. The turn is in a 7, which brings a possible flush draw, but I don't have it. I check it to the big blind. He decides to bet 65 into 180. 1 player calls, and yes, it's a good price, so I make the call as well. The river is a 3, which brings the flush, so I never win this hand. Yes, so I check, and it checked around, and my hand is good, so I won this small pot. In the next hand, I look down at King, Queen, 10-6 single suited in the cutoff, and I face an open raise up to 10, which I decide to call, and everyone wants to play the pot, so 8 ways on a flop, which is 9-8 deuce with the king high flush draw for me. It checked to me, and yeah, because we are 8 ways, I decided to check it, and it checked around. We are off to the turn, which is a deuce pairing the board. Pretty bad card, so no need to bet. Everyone checks, and we see a river, which is an ace of diamonds. One opponent bets 40, and it folded to me. I just call, and the bottom player calls as well. The bottom player had a lower flush, and yeah, the other one mucks his hand, so we win a small pot. In my next hand, we look down at King, 6-3 single suited from under the gun, and I decided to limp it in the $10 because I don't want to face a 3-bet. The player to my direct left raise it up to 45, and 3 other players call, and I call as well. So off to a flop, which is ace, jack, 6 with a nut flush draw for me. I checked it to my opponent to my direct left. She potted to 230. One player called, and yeah, I think I get the pot odds, so I call as well. The turn is a 7, which is unfortunately not in diamonds. I checked it. The lady to my direct left went all in for 60 bucks. The other player called. I call as well. And yes, we are off to a river, which does not bring me the flush. So it's a 5, and we checked it. And of course, the lady to my direct left won with ace, ace, jack, whatever. In my next hand, I open raised 9988 single suited up to 35. 3 players call before one player decided to raise to 225. And yes, I make the call, hoping for a set on the flop, and 2 other players call as well. The flop is unfortunately king, queen, 10 rainbow, so I check it, I checked around. The turn is the king, and I check folded my hand. In my next hand, we look down at king, king, 7 deuce double suited, and the double straddle is on up to 20. It folds to me on the small blind, and I decided to call the $20. The $10 straddle calls, and the $20 straddles raise it up to 80. And at this point, I'm gonna spring the trap, and I pot it up to 280. Only the double straddle called, and we are off to a flop, which is queen 10 6 with the king high flush draw for me. And yeah, SPR is around 1.2 or something like that. So I decided to pot it, and yeah, he jammed all in. We decided to run it twice, and yes, now we are hoping for some spades or a clean run out. The first run out is an 8 and an ace, and the second run out is a 6 and a 4, and we chop it because my opponent has jack 10 9 3, which brings him the straight on the top board, and I win with kings on the bottom. In my next hand, I look down at ace, queen, 10 deuce single suited, and I raise it up to 20. We go 7 ways to the flop, which is 10 9 deuce two-toned, and we all checked to the button, who decided to pot it. One player calls, and then it's on me. And here I decided to make a very tight fold because my hand is pretty vulnerable, and yeah, I have to fold on many turns when my opponent decides to continue betting. In my next hand, we look down at jack, jack, 6 6 single suited. I raised it up to 35. 4 players make the call, and we are off to the flop, which is 9 6 3 two-toned. It checked to me, and I decided to check it, hoping that someone behind me wants to bet. It's pretty draw heavy. Luckily, the button player bets 125. The small blind called 125. I potted up to 765, and the button player thought a while about it before jamming all in for about $900. The small blind goes out of the way. I obviously make the call, so we are off to a run out for the biggest pot of the trip so far, which is about $2,200. The turn is a 3, which brings me a boat right away. The river is a 7, and I shot my hand. And I scoop. It's good.
$22.60. Way to go, properly, Nicole.
I was in for 2K and I cashed out a little more, so I made a profit of about 200 bucks.
Yeah, it was quite a boring session for me, and I won 270 in the end. I was in for 1000. But yeah, I only played small pots and folded a lot. So yeah, that's how poker is a lot of the time. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the result. No problems there.
I made a profit of about 200 bucks.
I was in the game for 1000 and cashed out 1270. What's so funny? But I mostly played small pots, so.
Ja, kannst du nochmal machen, das war verkackt. Was geht bei dir ab?
Hä, das kannst du